Welcome back to the 1090 podcast. Life's 10% what happens to you and 90% what you're going to do about it. I'm here with Jillian Tinkel, a.k.a. JT. No, I'm just joking. No one calls you that. You go by Jill.
Yeah.
You get any nicknames growing up? There's not a lot of nicknames that go with Jill.
Yeah, Jilly Bean.
Jilly Bean, Jack and Jill.
Yes.
Not a little bit.
Yeah.
The eye roll.
She didn't like
that
Jack.
one.
No.
We have a kind of a stupid rule with 1090. I wouldn't say stupid. That might be a little hard, but we have a rule with 1090 that you show up.
Yeah.
That's part of the deal. Like, you're just in life and people dealing with grief, you're never really going to know what to say or what to do, but you get your ass in the seat and you show up.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, every podcast we do through 1090 is in person. So I go on lots of podcasts, but they're Zoom or whatever. But every 1090 podcast we do is in person, which is great. But it actually kind of sucks now because now we have people all over the country.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, we only do in person, which immediately gets rid of like 90% of the people. Like, all right, gone. But the whole reason I bring this up, Jillian, Jill, JT, Jill Pill, Jack and Jill, is
like that one.
You're from Kansas.
Yeah.
And you took your spring break and you got some fam here and you guys came out to Utah. And you've never been to Utah before.
Never.
Thoughts on Utah real quick?
It's beautiful. The mountains are beautiful.
You like the dirty air? What do you think of the air?
I didn't really even notice it.
Oh,
no, flying in though, it did get like brown. I was like, oh, okay.
Flying in gets rough too. That turbulence.
Yeah.
I've had many people. I've heard some yelps. Now I've had many yelps coming back from into Salt Lake City. Like people like, ah! Like, like roller coaster. I'm
no,
like, whoa.
it wasn't that bad.
And then they get so embarrassed after, like,
well, you could see on the screen.
It's like when you fall asleep in school and you like do the shift and like no one saw me, so you like do the random shifting. Like I'm not asleep.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone knows.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you're liking it. We're gonna go to the aquarium after.
Yeah. Yeah.
Me and Courtney took the kids there, and it's pretty cool.
Looks cool. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna read. We have Jillian. It's actually gonna be a brutal, heavy podcast, so I should stop joking around so much. But Jillian lost her husband and son in a car accident about a year and a half ago. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
Randy was her husband. And so I'm going to start this podcast off with his obituary, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Okay. Randy Lee Tinkel, age 37, of Wamego, Kansas.
You got it.
Oh, tough first. Randy was born January 24th, 1985, in Great Bend, Kansas, the son of Daryl and Karma Tinkel. Randy was a graduate of Great Bend High School, where he was a standout athlete, and he attended Barton County Community College as well as Manhattan Technical College. Randy loved to play sports all the way into his adult years. Within the past 5 years, Randy took up golf and was the captain of the WCC K Cup team. What is that, Jill?
Our Wamego Country Club, Kansas.
So he was good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what his handicap was by
No.
chance? That's all right. I'm a terrible golfer.
I'm a terrible golfer.
Sure, he was
but
better.
My brother Sage is really good. His passion for golf trickled down to Korbin, and most of their time together was spent on the course. Mm-hmm. As an avid outdoorsman, Randy also enjoyed hunting and participating in coyote hunting contests. Randy was the owner and operator of RT Trucking in Wamego and had become very well known in the area for his driveway and decorative rock business. Randy had a true passion for his business and was proud of all he had accomplished. Randy married Jillian Crystal Schroeder on September 24th, 2011 in Manhattan. She survives at their home. Randy is survived by his son, Crew, also of the home, and his father, Daryl Tinkel, Great Bend.
Yeah.
Father-in-law, Jeff Schroeder, and partner, Becky May. Brother-in-law, Jared Schroeder. Manhattan. Brother-in-law, Josh Schroeder, and wife, Becky. Manhattan. Mm-hmm. And numerous aunts, uncles, and cousins. Randy was preceded in death by his mother, Karma, as well as his mother-in-law, Rhonda. And then just information about the funeral. Randy sounds like a great guy. He's a good-looking guy, too, might I add.
Thanks.
Like, you did well. Good for you guys. Golf. I just never could do the golf thing, but...
Yeah, Korbin tried to teach me, but I played softball too much. Then I tried to hit the ball like a softball.
Softball girl. Yeah, the baseball swing, softball swing doesn't translate
No.
over. You bring the hips in too soon. It's
I mean,
I
Korbin
did
would yell at me. He'd be like, Mom! And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what's happening here.
I bet he's... Yeah, when I went to Snow College, I was in a public speaking class.
Yeah.
And the first public speech I gave was why golf's not a sport.
Oh.
And no one liked me the rest of the semester. Not the
Yeah.
teacher, not anyone.
So why is golf not a sport?
Well, I hate to bring it up here, but I don't even remember the reasons I brought up. I think it was like...
Because you get to drive around in a golf cart?
Yeah, I think it was like...
It's because
I'm...
won.
I had like a legit... There was like three things. I think it was
You
like
say
you don't
it's-
compete against another golfer. You compete against a course. You just compare scores. Anyway, I had it
Okay.
dialed in. I offended everyone.
Sure.
And I regretted it because...
It was a long semester.
Yeah, like, guys, I didn't know you liked golf that much. Sorry. But no.
It's kind of
There
like
it
when you
is.
bag on soccer. The whole world is in agreement. Like, soccer's a decent sport.
Jillian, do you like soccer?
Corbin played soccer. Here we go. Golf and soccer.
All right, speaking of
You need to
Korbin.
yeah.
What?
Stop now. Stop now.
No, look at this picture of Korbin, first of all.
That's when he won his golf tournament.
Is
Oh
it?
my
He's the
God.
cutest kid.
Love the glasses.
I know.
And the smile. Okay, I'm going to read Corbin's obituary. Corbin Ray Tinkel, 7 years old, of Wamego, Kansas, passed away August 13th, 2022. Korbin became a hero that day, donating his organs to 5 other individuals. Corbin's caring heart allowed others to live on through him.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Korbin was born April 19th, 2015 in Manhattan, Kansas, the son of Randy and Jillian. He was a second grader at Central Elementary School and now a forever Super Raider. Korbin was I'm sorry, you teach at that school?
Yeah.
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 And you teach kindergartners through second graders.
Reading. Yeah.
And like, I don't know how our society is built the way it is, but you should be a millionaire. Like,
Thanks.
right? Like kindergarten teachers?
No, that is. And how many kids do you
Kindergarten
have in your
teachers?
class?
Well, I cycle through kids. So I have kindergartners, first graders, and second
And
graders
she
that I
teaches
teach
them reading. She teaches them reading.
I teach them how to read.
Patience.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's great.
Yeah.
Korbin was very active and loved playing golf. He won several junior golf tournaments for his age group this past summer and loved spending time at the golf course with his dad. Korbin also enjoyed spending time around his dad's big trucks and any other type of equipment that might be around. Eager to learn as much as he possibly could, in addition to golf, Korbin loved swimming, playing soccer, and baseball, and especially wrestling with his little brother, Kru. Korbin loved going to church with his daddy and was a member of St. Bernard Catholic Church with his family. Korbin is survived by his mother, Jillian, and brother, Kru. His grandfather, Daryl, and then funeral services. Well, let's just I have lots of questions.
Yeah.
Music's in. Life's 10% what happens to you and 90% what you're going to do about it. Welcome back to the 1090 podcast. Life's 10% what happens to you, 90% what you're going to do about it. Jillian, I don't know, try to stay lighthearted at the beginning, but you're like in this special group where you've lost a spouse and a child.
Right.
Not a great club to be in.
No.
No one wants to be a part of that club. But like, I want to talk about this. losing a child and a spouse. Can we talk about this pain? Because how do you process them both being gone? Like, do you just bounce back and forth? Like, for me, I can't stick on one of them for too long. Like, I can't just have a Riggins day.
Right.
Like, it's 10 minutes of Riggins, but then that gets on to Frankie now, and then to
Right.
Courtney, and then to Race. And, like, I'm just kind of going, do you have, like, do you know what I'm talking about? Is that similar to you?
Survivor's guilt.
And then there's guilt. Like, there's guilt over the way you mourn. Like, oh, I can't.
And why should I be happy for crew? And how can I be smiling? Like, I feel that all the time.
Like,
yeah.
I should, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's hard because, like, with Frankie, Courtney was the person who I shared most of our memories with.
Yeah.
And so she's gone too. So
Right.
Frankie is like, I'm in this weird spot with Frankie. Like, I can't even talk about her because the only person I could really truly talk about her with would be Courtney, because she knows all the things that I know and I'm talking about.
Right. Right.
And so there's like this weird pain where it's like you can't even losing a kid it might just be the worst.
Yeah.
But you don't have that spouse that you had the kid with, that you're supposed to lean on, that you're supposed to have when you're dealing with the grief of losing a kid.
Yeah.
What's that been like for you?
Well, Crew and I were in the wreck also. So we had 14 days. Crew was intubated and flew out of Wamego by life flight. And so he was intubated for 6 days. So during that 6 days, I had to process losing Randy while sitting there hoping Crew was going to make it, on top of donating Korbin's organs and letting him go. So Randy was killed on scene. And then Crew...
I'm sorry. This is goddamn.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Where are you guys driving to?
Our shop. Randy was going to go haul rock. He's
Just
going to work.
Normal day, going to work.
Normal day. Yep.
So the whole family's in the car?
In the evening. Yeah. In the evenings, we always went out to our shop. It was just a few miles out of town.
And he had a big truck, or what were you guys?
Yeah. Semi-truck. But we had a little dump truck that he would haul rock around in town. And for Christmas, the year before, Korbin's wish was to learn how to drive our skid steer. So Christmas Day, he got to go out and learn how to do that. And so anytime we were at the shop, he was the one who was pulling the skid steer out and getting things ready. I mean, he thought he was top dog.
I think
he was.
He
Yeah.
was, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and so then he was driving?
Yep.
And then, sorry, I'm just trying to, I did not know all that information, and I didn't know you guys were all in the car.
We were all in there.
So what do you, what happened?
I remember everything. So, Crew was in the middle in his car seat, and Korbin was right behind Randy. And our shop's on a 2-lane highway. We were literally stopped on the highway getting ready to turn in. And I remember Korbin going, "I'm unbuckling because I'm getting in the skid steer." And I was like, okay, it was a race. He had to beat his dad to the skid steer and whatever. I mean, we were literally in the driveway pretty much. And then a semi hit us from behind at 68 miles an hour.
As you guys were turning in?
We were stopped, completely stopped.
In the median.
It was a 2-lane highway. We were waiting for
2-lane.
oncoming traffic.
And he just didn't even see it coming?
Nope. Well, Randy looked up and I think this is what happened. And he goes, "Oh, fuck." And then we were hit. I wasn't wearing my seatbelt. I slid down into the bottom of the console of the truck and just flipped. And then kicked my way out and grabbed Korbin.
And then you grabbed Korbin?
Mm-hmm.
And Randy, did you see him? Did you?
Yeah, from afar.
You just knew right away he was.
He was breathing. I grabbed Korbin first, and the side of his skull was showing in his brain, and there was people just swarming us. And I grabbed Korbin, and he was coughing up blood, and I remember telling him, "Mommy's right here, baby. You've got to hold on. You're okay. You're okay. I'm right here." And at that time, someone had wrapped his head with cloth, and I ran to Randy, and he was breathing, and I told him, I said, "You've got to hold on. You can't let go here. You can't." And then they pulled me because I think I was in shock. I mean, I was in shock, obviously. My adrenaline was rolling, and I kept screaming for Crew, and they had already cut him out. And at the time, this man was holding him, and he was crying. And so I don't know if I knew he was okay and didn't need to pay attention to him because he was crying. Like I knew he was okay, and then I couldn't find Korbin, and I went into panic, and they had already taken him in an ambulance. Yeah, and then I sat on the edge of the road and sat there. And my dad got there, and they had told me. One of the sheriffs walked up, and he goes, "I want you to know that Randy's gone." And I think I was in so much shock that I was like, okay. And then I kind of looked at my dad and I was like, what do you mean gone? Like he's in an ambulance gone, or he's like gone. And my dad looked over and he goes, he's gone, because he was still laying right by the truck.
First of all, I'm so sorry. There's nothing good to say. So you're not a broken arm, not a cut on you. So
Not that I know. Not that I knew of.
Was it hard for you to get out of the car?
Yeah, I kicked the windshield and just climbed out. I mean, there was glass everywhere.
And was sounds going on? Was it just kind of that humming, buzzing sound for a minute? Or like what?
I don't even know what I heard. I don't know. Like I think back and I was like, I think I heard sirens. I don't think I.
But you never lost consciousness.
No.
So you got out of the car and you immediately helped Korbin. Mm-hmm. And you're kind of talking to Randy.
Yeah.
Like, hold on, back and forth. But you're like, you're trying to, yeah.
Yeah.
And then they put Korbin in ambulance without telling you?
Yeah.
How long?
He went to Topeka, which is about 30 minutes from Amigo. It's just a bigger hospital. And then they life flighted him from Topeka to Children's Mercy in Kansas City because he had lost so much blood.
How do you handle this amount of PTSD and like how are you here? How are you? This is so fucked up. I don't even know. Because this is what I will say though. Like talking to you and then you walk in here, you're just you would have no clue what you've been through.
No.
You're just chipper.
Just a kindergarten teacher.
Just a kindergarten teacher, like happy to be here. You've been through absolute hell, what you had to witness. We're not even done with the story. But I have to ask you, like, why aren't you like mad at everything and everyone?
Oh, I was for a long time. Probably.
But Jill, it's only been, how long has it been since the accident? It hasn't even been a long time.
No, 18 months.
It's been 18 months.
I think about it for a long time. Like, I hated everybody. I hated everything. I was mad at everybody.
Because we share this too, like, good people.
Yeah.
No reason. No reason.
No.
Good people.
Yeah. And we were going to work. I mean, Randy was going to work. Yeah.
Sorry, keep going.
Yeah.
Why aren't you burning the world down, though?
Why carry that weight? Why should I be mad at everybody? Like, I'm here to now give Kru the life he deserves. I'm what's left. I'm all he has. He has to learn about Korbin from me. I mean, the memories he has are pictures. I mean, he was 2 at the time of the wreck. He doesn't remember Korbin truly. He doesn't remember his dad. And so to live the rest of his life, I'm the only thing that's going to be able to tell him the true stories.
Yeah, we is greater than me.
Yeah.
So they take Korbin, ambulance gone. You just got told Randy is gone. Mm-hmm. Now where do we go from here?
I think at that moment I must have passed out. Not passed out, but I think I just...
Black, like you can't remember.
Yeah. And I heard one of the first responders say, "You've got to get her out of here." And I kind of looked up like, I'm not leaving. Like, Randy's laying right there. Kru's being held by somebody. Like, I'm not leaving. You know, my adrenaline was...
Where do you want me to go?
Yeah. Yeah. And, I mean, I had gashes. I'll have a scar across my head. Come to find out, I slid into the ditch, like the concrete into the ditch. My face slid on it. Yeah, so I have this big scar. But they're like, you need to take her to the hospital. And I was like, I don't need to go to the hospital. Like, you're not taking me anywhere. And at that point, they're like, you don't have a choice. So they loaded me into an ambulance. I remember looking out of the ambulance and I saw Randy's best friend. I was like, okay, there's more people here than I thought. Like, I didn't see people. I mean, we're on a major highway. I didn't see people, and I looked out and I was like, okay, like maybe this is, I don't know. Like, I don't know what to do, but I need to go to the hospital. And so I called for Randy's friend, Tim, and I was like, will you ride with me to the hospital? Like, I don't know who's there. I don't know what's waiting for me. I don't know what's happening with me. Like, and so he jumped in the ambulance with me, went to the hospital, and right away, as soon as I got into the hospital, they said, you need to sign these papers. And I was like, what am I signing? And they're like, we've got to intubate Crew and get him out of here. So I was like, okay. Jumped off the thing, signed the papers. I said, I'm walking him to the helicopter. I'm not letting him go alone. And they let me walk out. I had glass all over my feet, everywhere, just stuck in me, but I didn't feel it. I didn't feel any of that. And I walked him to the helicopter, put him in. And I told him, I said, be strong, baby. Mommy will be right there. And they took me back into the hospital. We did a CT scan to make sure I didn't have any internal bleeding. The only thing that broke on me was my eye socket.
You're like a badass.
I'm a mom. I had to do what I had to do. I had to take care of my babies.
So I think in a lot of stories that we've done podcasting, we just did one. There's always like a sense of hope. Mm-hmm. Like even when it's terrible.
Yeah.
Like you have hope.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're loading Korbin into this helicopter.
Crew.
Sorry. I just saw your shirt. Corbin's gloves. So you're loading Crew into this helicopter. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you're trying to process rant. You're trying to process all these things.
Yeah.
Is it just complete shock? Is that what you...
100%. Denial, instantly.
And then, like, if I were to tell you, like, hey, like the day before the accident, if I were to tell you, like, hey, like, you're going to lose your spouse and a kid, you'd probably be like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Like no.
I couldn't
I'm not
survive
strong
it.
enough for that.
Yeah.
And then you're in it. And people always ask me, like, how do you do it, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. What do you say? What do you tell them?
I wasn't given a choice.
Yeah. That's what else do you say? Like, but I think what I take from that, what I learned from that is no one really knows what they're capable of, how strong they are. Like,
until you're handed it.
Yeah, until you're handed it. And you kind of learn a lot about who you are. And that's something that pain and grief will show you, teach us. This is actually who you really are.
Yeah, yeah.
And I learned real quick that, wow, I did not handle my thing good at all. I still don't handle it great, I think, but the first year of the accident, I handled it terribly, I think, and it was like wow, like I got to be stronger to carry this because I cannot carry this right now, and I'm just handling it very poorly. And I bet you have those same thoughts, like I can't do that. But then when your back's against the wall, it's amazing what you can actually put yourself through, and accomplish.
Yeah. There was months, I mean, it took, I was in the hospital with Crew for 2.5 weeks because he went through rehab and he was in a coma for 6 days. And when we got home, we had the funerals and they were together, and I don't remember anything that happened at the funeral. Nothing. I remember sitting there. I knew the church was full. But I don't know. We went to the cemetery. I remember sitting there and thinking, this can't be my life. Like,
my
this isn't
God.
real. Like, this can't be real.
Do you still do that day to day sometimes?
Yeah.
I do that too sometimes. Like sometimes
Yeah.
I was like, there's no way
Yeah.
that happened.
Right.
Sometimes
We were
it's,
just sitting in the turn lane.
Yeah.
sometimes it's shocking to me that how quick the funeral happens.
Yeah.
I don't really remember our funeral. I mean, I remember there's a lot of people there, and I remember I talked, but I don't even remember what I said half the time.
Yeah.
Because I just did bullet points, and like I'll just tell these, and I don't remember which ones I said or didn't. I don't really remember.
Right.
It's such a, but then other parts are so vivid.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
so vivid. And then
Yeah.
other parts, like I can't even tell you. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I left the hospital and my brother drove me right to Kansas City, and it's 2 hours. I don't remember it. I remember walking into the hospital, and my dad and my cousin Sarah was there, and like, surely, like, this is not right. Like, surely this isn't right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like the first year after the accident, obviously, like it's real, like you're grieving, but very much shock
Yeah. Oh,
and just numbness.
Mhm.
And you just, and people ask me, like, how are you doing? How are you processing it? I'm like, I don't really know. Like, I think I'm still trying to process it. I think and I tell people, like, the first year is mostly shock and then second year settles in, but still a lot of shock for me.
Yeah.
And I'm almost at the 3-year mark. And it's just, I think it's so much. Your brain is like, let's just go to shock denial mode for
Right.
a minute.
Right.
Because this is just crazy.
Yeah. And there was days, I mean, I went to the cemetery every day. Like, I don't know if I was trying to convince myself that it was real, or like, this is my new real. Like, this is my morning stop every day now. Like, is this really real? And I mean, there was times where, I'll admit it, the first few months I would sit at the entrance of the cemetery and I'm like, okay, if I calculate this right, I can pull out in front of this person and I'll die. Or I'll pull out in front of this semi and I'll die.
I remember, I love this. I remember I'd be driving, and if it was those roads that there's no middle
Yeah.
turn lane, it's just like you're like,
You're there.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
a few feet away from each other and you're zooming. I remember after the accident, I'd see those headlights, and I'd just be like, man, if I just lean over a little,
Yep.
I'll be with them.
Yep. Yeah.
And then you're like, well, I can't do it to the other driver. And then you like talk yourself out of it, but like you just see those headlights look like, man, it's just so easy to just, and like never had any thought like that ever.
Never.
Ever.
Never.
Before the car accident.
No. But now I'm not afraid to die.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about this, because people, I just think I feel like an alien sometimes around people, and I have a lot of dark humor, and so like, but yeah, let's talk about this. Like, how would you explain it? Because for me, it's, I'd love to die. I get to see them, bring it on, and like even as a public speaker, I used to say like, stage 4 cancer. Like, I wish I had. Like, I don't say that anymore because that's really dumb, insincere thing to say, Mason. But that's just honestly how I saw it.
Yeah.
But then it's like, well, I can't kill myself. I can't do that because blue.
No. Yeah.
And I was just stuck in this limbo of can't live, can't die.
No.
So then.
But I knew, like, if I were to die, if something were to happen, my brother and sister-in-law would have crew. Like, he'd have a great life. So, like, there was that toy all the time. Like, he's going to be okay, but he won't have his mom. Like, for the longest time, I toyed with those thoughts.
Like suicide ideation.
Yeah.
What got you out of that? Or are you still in it? Or?
No. Oh, God, no. No. I knew I had to live to keep Korbin alive. Because if I was gone, who was going to do it?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I didn't put a bullet in my head. Like, I got to be here for Blue.
Yeah.
Love Blue.
Yeah.
We is greater than me. Like, not about you.
Mm-hmm. It's not. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about them.
And it's such a simple thing, but that perspective shift really did a lot for me.
Yeah.
And my therapist helped me realize that, like, hey, I know it feels like it's about you, but this isn't about you.
Mm-mm. And I did that for a long time. Like, what did I do so wrong? why am I the one that's left with all this pain and this grief? And why do I have to do this alone? And why do I have to be alone? And then kind of there was a couple of times where I stumbled across your podcast and I'm like, you know what? It's not about me. This is right. It's not about me. And I think that mental shift was where it started.
Yeah, I don't know why this popped in my head when you were talking, but someone once told me, Mason, if not you, who would you want it to happen to?
Right.
And I didn't know how to answer that one because I wouldn't want to give this to anyone else.
No.
So that one's like, oof, like, okay, you got me there. I don't know.
Right.
I don't want to do it either, though.
No, right. Like, why
Well,
me then?
Sorry, babe, this is not the deal.
Yeah.
So for me, like, okay, I didn't want to live, I didn't want to die, but there's just so much pain and survivor's guilt and all these things that I would just numb it. So I got drinking, drugs. That was me for a while. And then it was
And still taking care of Blue?
Yeah, it was mostly a lot of help from my parents,
Yeah.
Courtney's sister, my in-law. I mean, it was help from...
Yeah.
I had so much help.
Right.
And a lot of people don't get that help.
Right.
But yeah, when you were kind of in that phase, what were some... Like, were you just numbing it, drink? What were you doing?
I was still, like, I had...
Or are you just laying in bed?
No. Sometimes. I had a traumatic brain injury. So I had to overcome that.
Like with physical fitness? Or what do you mean?
I had
you had to go to therapy.
Yeah. Yeah. I had to learn how to remember again. I had to do, like, a speech therapy where they taught me how to, like, read and process and retain again.
So do you still do treatments for your TBI or?
Nope. I'm good.
Wow.
Wow, that is insane.
I had spinal cord injury.
And then Crew,
Yeah.
how banged up was he?
His skull was broken in 2 spots.
And sorry, you saw his brain or was it
Corbin's.
Korbin? Sorry.
Yeah. Nope.
So, Crew,
Yeah.
what happened to him?
He had a traumatic brain injury, 2 broken skull spots right behind his ears in both spots, and his left ear was broken in his inner canal.
And he was,
You're good.
for my, how did Blue survive his car accident? I just don't know. And looking at pictures, it's just insane. So I know these questions are weird. But Korbin and Crew, they were sitting right next to each other?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is like a small pickup truck?
No, we were in like a
F-150?
F-250.
F-250.
Yeah.
The truck that hit you just fell asleep, text, we don't know.
Texting. There was a girl behind us in between, and she saw it coming, so she turned her wheel to veer, like to get out of the way, but there was oncoming traffic. It's 2-lane highway. And he launched her over into the other ditch and hit us.
What's she like?
Immediately she had a broken arm. She was 22 weeks pregnant.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but she's got some stuff with her jaw and everything. But she's got that guilt too of why didn't I take the impact and you guys lived? Like
Did her baby survive?
Yeah, and she's great.
Wow.
Yeah,
And she took the initial
launch of it.
Wow.
Yeah. But I mean, it broke the axle. We had to pull the back axle off of Corbin's legs to move him. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like a horror scene that I
is.
don't even remember seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, like you remember it so well, some parts.
Yeah.
One thing that and we've never talked about this on the podcast, and I think this is an important thing to talk about because people who go through accidents, I think people think the accident happens and they think about the moment of trauma and then they think about the grief. But then what they don't think about is things like lawsuits.
That's what we're in.
I'm in a lawsuit
And then
right now.
and now you have to you're about to go through deposition.
Yeah, I got deposed. I'm gonna, which
It's
is
a
weird.
motherfucker.
I wasn't even there.
Yeah, people don't talk about how,
So I don't even know.
guess what? You have to live through this, and now we're going to question.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah,
they treat you as the victim.
Oh,
Like-
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Did you? Yeah, I don't even know what they're going to ask me. But
So Friday when I get home, we'll go to sentencing for the driver.
wow.
Yep.
Thoughts on that?
It's been a long process. He was at the scene, and I remember seeing him watching everything. I remember him standing there. At the time, I'm not sure I knew it was the driver.
But you just remember seeing him.
I remember seeing him. We've gone through a lot of hearings where I feel as if there's no remorse.
Wow.
I've had to testify and talk to him, and there's no remorse.
Do you mind me asking how old he is? Or can you say that? Maybe actually don't say
He's
anything,
around our age.
because you haven't settled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the beginning of February, we had our plea hearing, and it was like a joke. It was like a sick joke. I mean, the judge was like, "Do you plead guilty?" And he looked at his attorney and he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Excuse me? Like, how are you not guilty? There's no question."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I should, before we get ahead of ourselves with this conversation, because my brother's a personal injury attorney.
Yeah.
And before we get deep into your details, we probably should, because neither of you have settled. And so,
Well, yeah,
civil case. We have a civil. So I have a civil and a criminal case.
oh, okay.
So I have two, because the state is taking on criminal, because I personally can't
Yeah.
sue the driver, but I'm suing
The
the
company.
company that he was driving for.
Well, and a lot of people get mixed up, and you had this with, you're like, look, it was a terrible accident. Yours was completely different, right? Storm. There
Yeah.
might have been some negligence. That's what they're discussing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But you at the beginning were saying, well, I don't really want to drag anybody through the mud if, there's
True accident. Yeah.
enough terrible things. You're just totally different situation.
Yeah.
But then, like, well, okay, for a podcast that talks about hard things, like,
That's hard.
but I don't think we shouldn't let fear of them prevent us from talking about it, though.
Well, no,
Like,
what I'm
screw you.
saying is a lot of people, you said this yourself because you don't understand. Actually, that's why insurance exists.
Yeah.
That's why the purpose of law is life is unfair, and law tries to bring justice to the unfairness. That's the purpose. So you were dealt a shit hand, and we have processes where we try to remedy, and there's certain things we cannot remedy.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
now we're here.
Yeah.
So a lot of people will do what you do. They're like, well, I don't want to pursue this because I don't want to ruin someone's life, because in your circumstance, it was just kind of a freak accident, right?
Yeah.
Whereas, no, you deserve justice, and there are processes in place, and people will be dealt with fairly.
Sure.
Yeah, I think
And rightfully so.
Yeah, I think for me, like, part of the let's not have this happen again.
Yeah,
That'd be very nice.
That's a big reason why you do it.
Yeah, and that's a big reason why we're doing it. Like, hey, if we cannot have dust kick up during a windstorm, probably smart idea. Like, what laws can we do to, like, I don't know. Like, again, wanting
Why
to
aren't
talk
there
about
sprinkler
it.
systems to make it mud?
Yeah,
Just
right.
like,
Yeah, like,
yeah.
Yeah.
But if you never talk about stuff and you're always scared, like, oh, like,
Yeah.
it's just gonna keep happening.
Like in Kansas, texting with driving, it's a ticket. It's a traffic
but like
infraction.
for you, like,
But it killed
Jillian,
my family.
this is blood boiling. This is sick to your stomach.
Yeah.
And you're I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you're like a religious person.
To an extent.
But like, okay, this is what I really mean. Forgiveness. How?
Nope.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No.
Thank you for
Thank
saying
you.
No.
I was scared to ask, but yeah. Thank you.
that. And especially since the way it sounds like it's going down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
No.
think that would be my answer. Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
Ask
let it
someone
fly.
else.
Like, sorry.
No.
Like,
So you're going. When is this? You're going back to the
Friday.
Friday.
So we had like a 2-week sentencing and plea and trying to bargain and doing this. And he doesn't want to go to prison. He just wants to do jail time. And, at the time I was like, fuck this dude. Like, who wants to go to prison? It's not like anybody wakes up and they're like, going to prison today.
Yeah.
Of course he doesn't want to go to prison.
Yeah.
But he deserves it.
Well, for you, I don't think it's prison. I think if he was crying, like, I'm so sorry, like
anything.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
That would be different. And then like jail time or prison time is whatever, but.
Yeah. Well, and texting.
Yeah.
Texting. And
while driving a semi.
We got to talk about it. It's part of the story.
Yeah.
Look what it did to you.
Mm-hmm.
Blew up your world.
Yeah.
But okay, and Jillian, I'm so sorry, but like I do text on my phone sometimes. Like
everybody does.
Everybody does.
Everybody does.
So
but okay, you got to make an example out of, and like you said, it's a ticket, and people need to like. There has to be consequences for the action, and if police, law enforcement can enforce something and say, "Hey, we're not fucking around." If I'm driving by you, and I can clearly see that you're texting, that's like a Class C misdemeanor.
Yeah,
or
instant felony. You're gonna you're not doing your diligence.
And if you're driving a truck that big,
oh yeah,
there has to be something like
it's just
can't do it.
It's the culture of driving and texting, and I mean, we have to establish some type of habit where you don't need your phone. You don't need your phone.
Yeah.
I don't care about your Spotify music. I don't care about your maps. I don't care. You don't need it.
Or like get to a stop sign or a red light. If you're gonna do anything.
Yeah.
But
I think it's so bad. It's like, I think that it is such a bad situation that we live in, and we are slaves to those things that you have to do something drastic. It's like the alcoholic. You can't have the whiskey in the cupboard. You know why? Because you're not strong enough.
Right. Yeah.
And so guess what you have to do? You got to throw the phone in the back seat.
Like lockbox in the center
like
console.
Find something that enables your phone when you're in drive.
Yeah. Something that connects to the car that says, hey, you're in drive, and doesn't matter if you're a passenger. This car is in drive. And so like, and the thing is everyone's all about freedom, and I get it, right? I'm about freedom too.
Sure.
Don't tell me what I can't text on my phone. This is America.
But it's like, I mean, so all the time. And I turn into my house, I have to sit in a median. Both cars are going 45, 50 past me.
Yeah.
And I'm like this close to telling my wife, like, I don't want you turning left there.
Yeah.
Because it's
funny you say that, because Randy told me not to.
Really?
He's like, anytime you come to the shop, if someone's coming behind you, keep going and make a right turn and flip around.
Yeah.
He's like, you don't sit on that highway.
Yeah, for me, like the texting and driving thing, it's like the analogy of, because like something terrible happens and you hear about it, and for like 15 minutes or maybe even a day, like I'm aware of texting and driving.
Sure.
But then enough time goes by and you get back.
No, you're not strong enough. No one.
It's almost
like,
routine though.
Yeah, it's like the analogy of cop lights go off and you think it's for you, and so like you'll go the speed limit for like how long?
Right.
20 minutes before you start speeding again. Like, but for people like you're pulled over the right, like you're done. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's when it's not your family. Yeah, you're sad for a couple minutes and like, maybe I should put on a seatbelt, or maybe I shouldn't stop, or maybe I shouldn't text. But like they just go back to the past.
But if I had my seatbelt on, I would have died.
Yeah.
Like I slid down in that compartment of the floorboard in a cocoon. Yeah.
So do you have thoughts like on that? Like
I don't wear my seatbelt.
But like,
still,
you were meant to survive. You were meant to live. Do you think that at all? Or not really?
I don't know. That's hard. Like, if I was meant to live, if I was buckled in, I still would have lived. Like, those irrational thoughts always come. Like, what if I was buckled? If I wasn't buckled? Like, I don't know.
Do you ever think like, what if we left the house 30 seconds sooner
Oh,
or
yeah.
later?
Yeah.
I have those all the time. Like,
Always. I mean, Korbin and I, so it was my first day back on contract at school. So we were up in my classroom. We went and played golf, of course, that morning. He did. I just drove him. And we went to my classroom, and every week it has Crumble Cookies, has the 4 new cookies.
so good.
So every week we had to go get the 4 new cookies. That was just what we did during the summer. It was just one of our routines.
Wait, what's your favorite one?
Oh, man. Strawberry shortcake's really good.
Okay. All right.
I like that one, but I love cheesecake. So we had gotten the cookies, and they were on the counter. And I think about this all the time when he left. He's like, Mom, I just want a bite. And I was like, you've got to wait till after dinner, buddy. You're not eating this huge cookie before, we're going to eat dinner, and then you can have your cookie after we get done. And I remember that little bit of not argument, but he's mad at me because he wants his cookie before we leave the house. And I'm thinking, what if I would have let him stay and eat that cookie? We would have left maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes later if I would have just let him have that cookie.
Yeah, I have these what ifs all the time for these scenario things.
Yeah.
Do you just like get to a point like, okay, like I can play this what if game all day, but it's not doing any good.
Right.
And eventually, that's kind of what I had to tell myself. Like, Mace, like, we can dwell on this all day, but it happened. What are we going to do about it, dude?
There's no going back. Yeah.
And that's kind of helped me. But like, some days I'll spend a lot of entire days. Like, I'll walk around and looks like I'm doing stuff, but in my head, I'm just thinking, give me a flat tire. What if we drove a little more or less the day before so they didn't have to get gas until, like, I've thought of all these things, and just if one of them would have happened. And so for what it does for me, Jill, is, okay, playing this what if game this long.
It's a mind game every day.
Now you get to a point, or at least sometimes I do, where it feels like it was supposed to happen. Because I play these what ifs all day. And so now it seems like it lined up. Like everything had to happen actually for them to get in their spot behind the diesel in the sand. Like perfect timing.
Yeah.
And so then I get confused, like was it supposed to happen? Because it almost feels that way.
Absolutely. 100%.
And how do you deal with that thought?
You brought up religion, and
You brought it up, Dave.
As she rolls the eyes and like,
I like the energy.
I like where we're headed.
So initially I was like, okay, so I'll go back up. My mom died 7 years ago. We weren't religious. We didn't go to church. Randy was brought up in a Catholic family, went to church, went to Wednesday night CCD, very religious. And my mom was diagnosed and gone within 30 days. Mm-hmm. And every day I went home, I was a mean fucking person. I mean, it was to the point where Korbin was 1, and I would do my mom duties, and I would take care of him, and then it was hell in our house because I hated God. I thought religion sucked. I told Randy he was stupid for believing in God. Like, who does this? Who does this to somebody? Like, you just took this 1-year-old's grandma. And it took about 6 months, and Randy finally looked at me and he goes, you've got to get help or our marriage isn't going to last. I was like, okay. Like, that was my breaking point.
Like, you got to cool off.
Yeah. I mean, I was just hot. Like, you take my mom, one of the healthiest ladies out there. I mean, she'd eat shit out of the garden. I mean, just.
Yeah, you're like, if anybody's going to be dealt
That's
the
how
shit
it always
hand,
works, though.
dude.
Yeah.
Like, the health, like, same thing with my grandpa. Like, died of cancer, like, healthiest. Like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, so he's like, why don't you go to church? I'm like, no, not happening. He's like, it might help you. And I'm like, nope, not even, I'm not stepping foot in there. Like, there's no God. God doesn't do this, And finally, after a while, he's like, you've got to do something. And there was a lady who I work with at school who's very religious. She said, come with me to this just kind of evening thing and just see what you think. And I was like, okay, whatever. So I went and I was like, okay, like, maybe I'll go back. Like, that wasn't too bad. Like, maybe I believe what they're saying, maybe I don't. Mm-hmm. And so I went.
This is a Christian church, I'm just
Catholic.
assuming. Okay.
Catholic, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I went back and kind of believed, and then we got on the topic of heaven and eternal life. And that's where my biggest challenges were, is like, why does my mom get to live in this beautiful place, but not with her family? Why is heaven this beautiful eternal place that nobody's sick and nobody's hurt and everybody's happy? But why did you take her from the happiest place? Why did you take Randy from being this great father and Korbin from this beautiful life to live up there? Like, so I questioned that forever. And then I was talking with my friend Sarah, and she's like, this down here, you're passing through. You're not making it out of here, Jill. So why are you worried? And I was like, you're right. I'm not making it out of here. She's like, eternal life, if you believe it or not, you'll know it when you're gone. But right now, you're not making it out of here alive. So you've got to do what you need to do. And that's when it hit me like, okay, like maybe it was supposed to happen. Maybe it wasn't supposed to happen. I don't know, but I won't know until I get there if it's really real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's.
Would you say that there was like almost because a lot of you said, oh, well, you know, God, there's no God. He doesn't do this. You know, my mom was so healthy. It's almost like you're battling with this. Okay, do I hate the guy that I say doesn't exist? Or do I believe that there's a God and I hate him?
Right.
Like, and I battle with that all the time. Like, do I not believe in God or do I not like him?
Sure.
And that's going to be a hurdle for me probably my whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're done.
Yeah.
You're screwed. For me, so like after the accident, I don't know if you were like this, Jill, but I was just kind of scared of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like anything can kill Blue.
Yeah.
Like he could choke, he could trip, he could. And I remember like when Blue was going back to school, I'd drop him off and just worry about him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my God. And if my phone rings, like, don't be the school, don't be the school, don't be the school.
Yeah.
Like that was just not good.
Yeah. I kept Crew home for 3 months. I didn't send him back to daycare.
Like I just riddled with fear.
Yeah.
And so then I reached a point, like, you know what? Kind of what you just said. Like, I'm like, no one's getting out of here alive.
Yeah.
And totally flipped this. And now I'm still, like, not going to let fear dictate my life. And so then when it came back, when it came time for me to look at religion again, I just saw the fear fact. I'm like, oh, like they use fear. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to use fear to dictate my life anymore. So like, it's just the scare tactics, it just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
And then another thing I learned after the accident, and this is what I learned from my wife, Courtney, is that, you know, there shouldn't have to be a heaven for you to want to be good.
Right.
That actually takes away what it means to be good.
Sure.
There's actually no reward.
No.
No one will know. No one will find out.
No.
And in fact, the world might spin just the same, just as good if you did the good act or if you didn't do the good act.
Right. Right.
It doesn't matter.
Nobody's going to know.
It doesn't matter.
No.
Can you still be good? And
Right.
then it's like, whoa, it's hard to be good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it is.
It's hard to do the right
The world
thing.
can go to hell in a handbasket real quick with that thought process, but also it can be the most beautiful thought process. Like,
Yeah.
And that's just the way I see it. And so, no fear. You don't need heaven as an excuse to be good. That leaves me with, I don't need the religion anymore.
Just be who you are.
Yeah. And that's that's how I landed on my feet from that.
Yeah.
And I absolutely loved your answer about the forgiveness thing. I think you're 100% dead on. That's my answer.
No.
And good for you. And I want to get back to maybe more your 90%.
Yeah.
Korbin's clubs.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this. This is so cool.
Yeah. Korbin loved golf, but we lived 4 blocks from the golf course. And he tried soccer and it was okay. Like he played it and whatever. He played baseball, liked it, whatever. But as soon as Randy took up golf, I mean, that's where they lived. I mean, they loved it. And there's a group up there of retired old guys, you know, Korbin called them the old guys, and they just ate him up. I mean, they just loved him up there. And so he
Young
just
kid
became
playing golf is like
this little little legend up there.
That's so
Yeah.
cool.
I mean, it's not a huge, we don't have like a huge country club.
But you do, I was reading about it. You do a tournament every year
Yeah.
in August.
September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to go
Yeah.
because my brother Sage loves golf.
Cool.
So we're going to try to get out there and do it.
Yeah.
So will you please shoot me a text when it gets close?
Absolutely.
Do you play the foursome, a double, foursome?
Foursome.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, you want to go?
I'll have to brush up. Sage
will carry us.
Sage is
Yeah.
Is it best ball plays?
he goes to Scotland and plays.
Yeah, we'll have Sage carry us.
yeah,
But I'd
okay.
like to be a part of that. That
Yeah.
sounds so cool.
Yeah.
And I think it's so awesome that you do that.
Yeah. So we were at home. Crew was rehabbing. And I decided to start therapy. And my therapist said, "What are you going to do to memorialize these boys?" And I'm like, "I'm not memorializing shit. Like, they should be here." Like,
This is me.
Fuck
my
everything.
Yeah.
therapy sessions. I mean, I went to like 4 or 5 before I saw Matt, but I'd tell him not of the accident. And then I'd look at him like, I don't want to live, but I can't die.
Mm-hmm.
And I just stare at him.
yeah.
And they're like,
Tell me.
how many hours a night are you sleeping? I'm like, what are we what?
Mm-hmm.
Who cares about sleep?
Every night, my therapist, every day, or every time I went, "Are you sleeping?" "No. I'm watching Crew breathe."
Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh, but like, I
No.
never did that with any of my kids. After the
We
accident,
talked about this last
because
night.
we talked about this last night, Ryan. Usually, Blue would wake me up in the middle of the night multiple times to come sleep with him. On nights he didn't, I'd wake up in a panic.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's dead. And I'd run in his room and check his brain. Like, oh,
Yeah.
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 Never did that before.
We went home 2 weeks after, and my dad was there with me and my brothers, and they're like, "You need to go in the house by yourself." And I was like, "Okay." So I went in, and, Korbin's clothes were where he took them off and threw them. And our bedroom was, of course, the way we left it. And I thought, I'm never going to sleep in that bed again. And I never did.
Yeah, I couldn't, not being able, I put our house up for sale.
Yeah.
I sold all, I couldn't go back. I couldn't,
Yeah. My therapist told me you can't be irrational in the first year. And
you can't be irrational in the first year.
Good luck.
Isn't that all you are?
oh God, yeah. Yeah.
Manic.
Yeah. I mean,
Seriously.
yeah. Like,
Just
you
flooded
can't
with
make
it.
any irrational decisions. And I was like, okay. So, I mean, for 3 months, Crew did his therapies, and we were coming home, and, there was
but did he have to do physical therapy
physical therapy,
on top of?
speech therapy, and
did he-
occupational therapy.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So we rehabbed in the hospital. They took him off. They pulled his life support out, and they said, "Okay, like, this is it. Like, if he's going to make it, this is it." And I was like, okay. Like, I had already gone through hell, so bring it on at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, I looked like shit. I mean, my whole face was bruised. My eyes were swollen shut. I mean, just bruised. I'm walking
Your
through these.
orbital got busted up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
she said,
brutal.
the only thing that happened to me was I just broke my
Orbital
eye
socket.
socket. I'm like, what do you mean just broke it? That sounds terrible.
Yeah, your fate. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's bad.
And, I'm walking around this hospital. I think people probably think either she got her ass whipped or she won the fight. Like, that's all I could think walking through these halls is these people are, they're in there they're not watching their kid on life support, and we're walking. Yeah, it's just bad. And so they're like, "Okay, we're going to pull Crew off life support." And I'm like, okay, like, I just did this 3 days ago and nothing happened. Like, okay. And I remember just talking myself through it. Like, if he doesn't blink, if he doesn't respond, if his reflexes don't
You
come,
literally
like,
just did this 3 days ago.
I know what I'm doing. Like, and I think my brain just went back into that survival mode of, you just did this, you can do it again. And they pulled it out, and he coughed and blinked and looked at me, and I was like, okay. Like, I almost didn't know how to respond. Like, okay, he's alive.
Were you like almost timid to get your hopes too high? Like, okay,
Yeah.
but like, let's see where we're at tomorrow.
Yeah.
We just did an interview right before you with a couple, little little different, but life support.
Yeah.
And they had to pull him off. You had to do that and then do it again 3 days later.
Yeah.
And you had to do it 3 days later when it didn't go well the first time.
Right.
I'm so sorry. That's so terrible.
Yeah. But, I mean, when we came into the hospital that night when I got there and they had Korbin back, the doctor sat me down in this cold, dark room. And they're like, we're going to give Korbin 72 hours. And I kind of had this, like, underlying, he's not going to make it. Mm-hmm. Like, just the way they were so just stoic. And so, like, I didn't feel like there was any hope in them. And, yeah.
Had they made any mention of if he does make it, he'll be different?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because I said, after 72 hours, what do I expect then? And they're like, he would wake up in a vegetated state. We lost him for 8 minutes in the ambulance.
So oxygen, yeah.
Yeah. So then what do you do? I mean, do I bring my baby home who did everything?
And this is the other thing.
To nothing.
Jill is your husband.
Yeah.
The guy that's supposed to, like, be going through this with you.
Yeah.
Dead.
Yeah. There.
And so, like, I just don't even remember what I just felt. And then did crew ever ask you, like, where's Dad?
Yeah, still does.
That broke my heart.
Mm-hmm. Like, why doesn't Daddy pick me up from daycare?
Oh.
So-and-so's dad did.
And how do you handle those moments? You just tell him, like, remember what do you tell him?
I tell him, I said, remember Daddy's with Korbin.
Yeah, that's what I tell Blue, or I did.
Mm-hmm. And that was kind of our life because Crew was so little, he didn't get to go to the golf course. So a lot of times Randy and Korbin were gone together. And I would say, Korbin and Daddy are at the golf course or, whatever they were doing. So in my mind, that's just what circulates. Daddy's with Korbin. There's no definite answer. There's no definite where they are. Daddy's just with Korbin.
So you don't use verbiage like heaven or anything like that?
At times. Because when we go to the cemetery, he had Korbin's stone and Randy's stone are very similar, and Crew has his dump trucks and his diggers and stuff, and he plays there. And I'll sit there and watch him play, and I mean, we spend time there, and he'll ask, like, we have a family picture that's etched on our stone, and he's like, why am I on there? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, that's us. That's Daddy, that's Korbin, that's me, and that's you, and that suffices. Like, I haven't had to explain.
Get into details.
Never.
He's 3.
Because he doesn't understand time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Blue was 3, almost 4 during the accident. And it's hard, like, I just try to keep it balanced because we talk about him a lot. I don't know, like, we talk about him a lot, and I want to do that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the accident, like, I was told if he talks about the accident, ask him follow-up questions.
Yeah.
But if he changes the subject or he shuts down, like, don't push it on him. Like, just leave it alone.
Yeah.
So it's kind of how we've always handled it. But I've just tried to keep a balance of try not to push it on. Because part of me wants him to forget that accident.
Right.
Like, that'd be nice for trauma reasons. But then,
that's his life.
Yeah, but then I want you to remember your mom and I want you to remember all of them.
Yeah.
So it's like a hard balance sometimes. It's like, I want you to remember, but not too much, maybe.
Yeah,
It's just such a hard thing.
Yeah. And for a while, I mean, I didn't have to go out. I didn't have to take the road to go to our shop to do anything in our town. So I avoided it. And then one day, I was pretty pissed just at life. And I went and got in the skid steer and just dug holes and just had a day.
Had a mess.
Had a day, yeah. And I never drove that road by myself to go there and do something like that. Mm-hmm. So that was different. And I always told myself there's a back road that you can cut across and just jump the highway and get into our shop. And after the wreck, I was like, I'm never traveling this highway again. I'm never stopping on this highway again. Like, I'm not doing it. And then after that, every time we'd go to the shop, I would just jump the highway. Never did. And one day, I don't know where my mind was. I drove the highway and we were stopped. And like panic set in. And I was like, oh my God, we got to get off the highway. We have to get off the highway. And Crew goes, Mama, we were in that ditch. And I was like, we were, buddy. And I didn't even know what to say or how to respond. I was like, yeah, we were. And then that was it.
Yeah. man, Blue will say like we'll see a helicopter. He's like, I was in a helicopter. I'm like, you were. And yeah, having a kid survive an accident like that. And we've talked about it a little bit earlier about how if it wasn't for them, who knows where me and you were at.
Right.
Probably not good for us.
No.
How are you? I just have a question for you because I'm trying to teach Blue from this and use this accident to help him in life. An example is that, like, every night when I tuck him in to sleep, I ask him 3 questions. I say, Blue, what do you do when you fall down? He says, you get back up. And then my second question is, Blue, is life fair? He's like, no, life's not fair. And then my third question is, pick a number 1 through 10, and whatever number he picks, I kiss him. He always picks 10.
Yeah.
But, like, the point is, like, I'm trying to teach Blue that life can be unfair in the most brutal way.
Yeah.
And you have every right and expectation to stay down and to give up even and just to be mad at everything and everyone.
Sure.
But we don't do that. And that's not what your mom would do. That's not what we do.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to use it to help build him up. And I don't know if you experience this, Jillian, but, like, I'm trying to, like, help Blue, but, like, time and time again, this kid just keeps teaching, and, like, he's there for me way more. Like, I try to, like, but Blue is amazing.
Yeah.
He's incredible.
Yeah.
And one thing I've learned as a parent from losing 2 kids, it's like I used to think, like, these are my kids. They're mine. They're my kids.
Yeah.
And then you learn, like, oh, like, they could be gone. Like, they're not my kids. They're their own individual person.
Yeah.
And my parenting after the accident is more of kids are incredible. And actually, just don't cripple them. Don't make them scared of fear.
Yeah.
Which, like, the education system, like, don't, like, kind of give them some space to breathe and try stuff and fail.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then they'll keep, like, the mistake I made as a parent before, I was just trying to do too much.
Yeah.
I was trying to protect them all the time. I was trying to, like, it was about grades. Let's get scholarships. Let's keep up with the Joneses.
Yes.
And now it's like,
do whatever you want.
this is your life, man.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't want to go to college, like, that's awesome. Like, you just appreciate having a kid.
Yeah.
I just appreciate having a kid. And now my number 1 goal with Blue isn't any award. It's just my number 1 goal with Blue when he's a teenager is I want to be best friend. I want him to come home and be able to tell me anything.
Absolutely.
And have that connection and trust with him.
Yeah.
And if he wants to do it, like, whatever.
Who cares?
But that's something that I've learned is, like, wow, like, these kids, man,
Amazing.
are amazing.
Yeah.
And the couple we just interviewed before you, their kid, I mean, these kids are resilient.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
And back to the religion thing real quick. Isn't there a scripture, like, Jesus told us, like, try to be like the kid? Like, try to be like kids.
Yeah.
Isn't there a script? Like, yeah. Like, she's like, I don't know.
I didn't dig that in. What?
But, like, no, there's something to it. Like,
Well, and they say there's a scripture that says, like, from the mouth of babes. Or
no,
something
like, I do
that,
think there's something where, like, as we get older, like, we get dumber in a lot. Like, we
we forget.
we lose that
We're
kid.
too guarded.
We start caring about, like, well, what if they don't like it?
Yeah.
Kids don't care about that.
No.
They don't
Have you
think
seen
when
that?
they're painting, like, I wonder, oh, they might not like
Like
they don't care.
Are these complementary colors?
Yeah. Like, I used to care if the Play-Doh got mixed together. Like,
Yeah.
leave the red in here. Don't mix them. Now I'm like, I don't give a shit. Turn it brown.
Yeah, I was painting with my sister's kid, who's, like, 4.0 student.
Yeah.
Like, crushes everything.
Right.
And we're painting. We're having paint night. He's like, well, I don't know what to do. I should ask my mom. I'm like, Keller, no. You don't ask your mom.
Right.
And he's looking at me like, I'm like, there's no right or wrong.
Pick
and he's
the
like,
color.
Like,
What
you're
do you
just
mean?
painting, bud.
Yeah. Yeah. Just do
This
it.
is why the
And
A
he was
students
just
will
like-
always work for the C students.
And Amen.
But like, no, I think there's so much truth to that. Is we like do.
We don't
like
care.
it's the golden Buddha analogy that I always tell, but like we just cover them up with mud and dirt and cover up the gold that
it's funny
have.
at what age do they become self-aware? And then it's probably like junior high, right, where they start to look around.
Yeah, maybe
I think it's earlier.
I think like
You think?
fourth
Grade.
grade.
Yeah,
Like they're worried about what they're wearing now and
Yeah.
what shoes they have. And
gotta impress the cute girl.
But Joe, isn't that like okay? I don't know how. I don't know if you get compliments, but I get compliments sometimes. Like you're a really strong guy. That's cool.
Yeah.
And a couple of things that we already talked about. One, like we don't really. There's no choice.
No.
So there's that.
But when people tell you that, what do you say?
Yeah, I say I don't really have another option.
Yeah.
And then, I lost my train of thought here.
Sorry.
No, not. Yeah, it's your fault, Jillian. I never
feel
do
like
this. It's
trauma-
only happened to you.
Trauma makes you strong, though. Like you wouldn't be this
Okay.
strong.
Thank you. That's back. Yeah. But okay. This is exactly where I was headed with this. So this is what I was going to ask you. Do you think it makes you stronger or maybe it's the same thing, but like sometimes I don't feel necessarily stronger. It's more of, listen, I lost my wife, Courtney, my son, Riggins, my daughter, Frankie, my brother, Race, my nephew, Ryder.
Yeah.
So literally, it's just a simple fact. Usually anything else that gets thrown at me, it just fails in comparison miserably.
Yeah.
So it's not so much that I don't care. Well, I don't care.
You don't.
I don't. It's just like it just doesn't. What do you want me? What do you expect me to do?
Yeah.
You expect me to freak out about a T-shirt, barbecue stain, and like why are
cares?
people? What are
Yeah.
people mad at?
Right.
Jillian, do you even remember what you were mad at before the accident? I don't.
Yeah.
You do?
I mean, stupid
I don't even
stuff.
remember.
Stupid stuff like, oh, I've got to do laundry, or I have
Laundry.
6 loads of laundry,
Yeah.
or the floor is not mopped, or people are going to come into my house and then they're going to think it's dirty. Like that
Yeah.
stuff bothered me. I'm like, come on in.
Yeah, Court's like, do the dishes. I'm like, I don't want to do the dishes. Like dishes. I cared about dishes? I don't even know.
So it's like it's a gift of trauma.
It's like, in a
you-
way
you
that
start to what really matters.
But
Right.
I go back to that. But like trauma gave me depression. Trauma
Yeah.
gave me anxiety that I've never had.
it's the worst.
I mean, I used to have a little bit of anxiety. Like I worried about things, but not to this extent. No, I mean, depression.
I didn't know there was physical parts of anxiety.
Oh God.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know you physically
fun with
shake
the
and
panic
had
attacks.
terrible thoughts and couldn't. I didn't know all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't sleep for months, 2 hours maybe at best for probably 8 months because I was so scared I wasn't going to wake up. And then what is crew going to do? Like I just had these weird
And you have the the brain injury.
Yeah.
So that's not almost. It's a legitimate is there swelling in my brain that they're not picking up?
yeah. And
Like-
I'll have headaches for the rest of my life.
But then there's another part of you that's like, well, maybe we do want to die.
Yeah.
No, I'm not
I
kidding.
mean, there
Ryan.
was times where I'm like,
Yeah.
okay,
So
if I
you-
fall asleep,
Yeah.
maybe this could
No.
be a good thing.
But I did this all the time. I'd flip from anxiety to then depression. Like, wait a minute, why are we worried about anything?
Yeah. Just do
Well,
it.
we don't give a fuck about anything, remember? And I was like, oh, yeah. Like, we could even die. We don't care. Like, oh, yeah. And the anxiety goes away, which is great. But now you're stuck with suicide ideation.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, trauma's given me something I never, ever thought, ever. I mean, was I this happy-go-lucky person before the wreck? No. I mean, I hated people and hated things and cussed my work and, just
You're a person.
typical person.
Sure.
And now I find myself being more kind because you never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
Never know. I mean, our little town's made up of 4,500 people. It's a little
that
town.
is tiny.
Tiny town. I didn't want to go to the grocery store because everybody knew who I was. My morning routine was drop crew off, go get my Coke at shortstop, and go to school. That was just and I didn't want to go to the gas station. I didn't want to go anywhere. So for probably 10 months, I did all pickup orders. Ordered groceries online, didn't have to see anybody, didn't have to talk to anybody. I had my people that I trusted in my vulnerability, and that was it. Like, I wasn't letting anybody else in because I was afraid I was going to scare people with my truth.
Oh, just like your...
How are you? How the fuck do you think I am?
Yeah.
Like, I was afraid I was going to offend people.
How did you get through that phase of life? I mean, now you're flying across the country to be on my podcast to talk about them. So how did that happen?
Korbin. I had to be like Korbin. And he was kind. He loved everybody. He didn't know a stranger. And I knew I had to be like Korbin if I was going to move on.
That's totally what I did, too. Is like, this isn't what Courtney would do or Reagan. Like, my brother, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I don't even know how to ask this because I don't even know how to measure it but there's like this general, like, you go from every day is just bad to, oh, you had a good day this week or this month. And then like, oh, I had 2 good days in a row.
Yeah.
What would be, like, how are you doing week to week, month to month? How often are you still having these days or maybe moments in a day where it's really heavy and it's a lot still? Or, sorry, I'll just stop talking.
No, you're good. The hardest thing for me was going back to work because Korbin should have been there. And we would be walking into school together. So they memorialized him. His picture was up on a bulletin board. And so every morning, I mean, I'd stop the cemetery, tell him, good morning, baby, and then walk into school with him. And he was there. He was there. And I don't know, that was just my shift, I think. Like, I can't carry this anymore. Like, I was getting physically sick because I was so tired. I was so tired. And then, you know, I mean, you kind of phase out where you feel like, okay, like, I got this. I can do it. And then court happens. And you have to face these pictures or these videos, or you have to read this report somebody wrote about what happened. And you're like, I don't got this. I don't at all. And I mean, last court hearing, I lost it and I got hospitalized because I was so dehydrated and so sick that I couldn't do anything.
Yeah, thank you for your honesty. This is so good. And yeah, I like asking that question because people are like, how did you get through it or over it? I'm like, you're always just in it.
Yeah.
But then also, I think in some ways I did get through it in a sense of like I can leave my house now, usually most days. Like,
sure.
Like you get better with it.
Yeah.
But like let's make no mistake, like I still have very rough days. And and now I think now it's not even good day, bad day. I think it's just kind of
the day.
It's just both all the time now. That's kind of where I've gotten to is how are you doing? I'm doing absolutely terrible, but I'm doing good.
I'm okay. I'm okay. Yeah.
That's kind of my answer.
Yeah.
Is both. Like I'd like to die today, but I'm also grateful for today.
Yeah. Like if I died today, it wouldn't really matter, but I'm also doing okay.
Yeah, and you just kind of find the strengths of your grief that are there and like the new perspective, which is cool, and being in the moment. Like, wow, like that's a gift. Like never been better at just being in the actual moment with who you're at and stuff.
Well, we talked one time. I texted you and I was like, what the fuck? Like, how do you do this? And you told me, find your purpose.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't have a purpose.
That sounds like a good answer. That must have been a good day for me.
It was a good day. But I was like, I don't have a purpose. Like, what's my purpose, you know? And I thought about it and I'm like, my purpose is to be a better human than all these people who are talking about me in this town or who are feeding off my tragedy or... Yeah.
That would be really hard. 4,500 people.
Yeah, that's
like, really small.
Literally everyone you see knows.
Yeah, that would be... I think it would be incredibly hard, and then there's also good parts to it.
Absolutely.
Too. Like they're memorializing him at the elementary school, and there's this connectedness to, hey, we see you, but then there's also this, you're constantly playing crowd control with the perception of other people.
Yeah.
And if you're playing that game, you're doomed. Like if you're trying
I
to,
mean, I mean, I
know.
still walk into, our high school basketball games or do this and you're like, okay, who's talking about me?
yeah,
Like, oh, there she is, like, oh, or she looks happy today. And then that gets you like,
Am I not allowed to be happy or?
maybe I shouldn't be happy.
yeah. Are you
Also, don't worry, not happy.
Right.
like, are you dating anyone? Have you dated at all?
No. And in the beginning, so that was a very, not like big topic, but not like to me, because I felt this internal, I'm supposed to be alone.
Yeah.
Like this happened for some reason and now I'm supposed to be alone. Like I'm supposed to do this alone and it's going to be me and crew and it's going to be fine. And I had like, I guess you want to call it convinced myself that this is it.
Yeah.
I'm going to be alone.
This is the new normal.
It's just going to be me and crew. And that's okay. And as time went on, my therapist asked me and my best friend who, she's the one that can tell me, you look like shit today. And I don't take offense to it. Like you look like shit. What's wrong?
Coming from love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's probably been maybe 5 months ago. I was talking to her and she was like, so there's people asking about you. And I was like, for what? Like instantly I'm defensive and my guard's up and like, what do they want to know? And she's like, no. Like they want to know maybe if they like to go out to dinner. And I'm like, fuck no. Like, who are these people and why do they think this is okay?
Yeah.
Like that was my initial reaction. And now, 18 months going into it, my family's told me, it's okay. It's okay to be happy. And if you can find happiness with somebody else, it's okay. I'm scared because I'm not divorced. I don't have another counterpart over here who helps parent. Like it's me, and I don't hate that my spouse, and where
there wasn't a choice to make us like, I still
split.
love him.
Yeah. And now I bring if and when it happens, I don't know. I don't even know how to date. Like, what do you do? I met Randy in the bars.
We were just talking about this the other night because I met Courtney when I was 15.
Yeah.
And then 30, she died. So, like, I didn't know. I'm like, what was going on?
Yeah. Yeah.
Very
Randy and I were
confusing.
together for 16 years and we met in the bars. Like, I can't go down to the bar and meet somebody now. Like, I'm pretty sure I was drunk when we met. Like,
As
Plus,
you should be at
every
the bar.
right?
Every bar you go to now, everyone's going to know you. Like,
Yeah. Like,
Well, and it takes just, an incredibly special person
oh, yeah.
that can hold that space and understands that, hey, I still love Randy
Yeah.
and I will always love Randy.
Yeah.
And if you're thinking that there's going to be a replacement or like, it takes a special person to understand that, hey, I still love Randy and I can love you, but like, you're never going to take that away from me.
Right.
And I think it takes what's the type of person? An incredibly secure person.
Sure.
There cannot be like even a
Ounce
little
of
tickle
jealousy.
of insecurity. Like they have to be very secure.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
And what
girlfriend.
weight do you give to that person? Like now you are this father figure. You're this mother figure that you don't have a choice. Like if you're in my life, this is
Like
it.
this is
it.
Yeah.
we're second because he's first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Sammy, the girl I'm dating, we were talking about this, and not only does she have to love and accept me and Blue, but also Courtney, Reagan, Frankie, Race, right? Like she has, I think the person, if you're gonna do it again or whatever, but they have to like truly love and accept all of them.
The trauma. And how do you explain?
Yeah,
like,
the trauma. Yeah.
How do you explain that to somebody? Like I'm on this first date and they're like, oh, you divorced, whatever. No, I'm a widow. And like,
And
is
lost
that,
a kid.
yeah, like, is that a huge red flag, you know?
I think
like,
for a lot of people it probably is, and then some.
I think for some people it's a green flag. I think for some people, the wrong person, it's a red flag.
yeah,
And for the right person, they'll just hold that space.
right.
And
Yeah.
For me, I remember like the grief just evolves. I remember having the mindset like never gonna move out of Sage's basement because I lived with my brother after the accident. Like never leaving the basement, and I'm like, okay, never working again.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, never dating again. Like I just think, or like you, like I'll never drive that road again, and then he did.
And I don't remember doing it.
Right, like
or getting there.
The grief evolves, but and then I mean I could talk about Sammy forever. She's so great, but I don't. Mason Sawyer isn't. He needs teammates. He's not a. I don't do good alone. Like I need someone to pass the rock to, or like not the basketball term, but like I'm much better when I'm part of a team or have a teammate. So like I needed someone. But I like what Ryan said because it's never felt like replacing or a comparison. It just felt like two different lives.
Have you felt though, like, how long was it before you started dating?
Timeline's pretty fuzzy, but maybe like a couple months after.
Yeah. Do you feel, I mean, like I'm in 18 months and I feel like I'm in this groove where it's me and only me, and I'm the only one that can do the best for crew. So it's almost like I have this big guard up. Like I've got to protect him.
You have a guard up?
No one's going to protect him.
Why would you have a
Why
guard?
would that?
Like no one can protect him like me.
Yeah.
No one can protect him like his dad was going to protect him. You know, like, do I let that vulnerability go? And then what happens if it crushes? What happens if it's not right? And then I screw up something that, you know, like I don't want to expose crew to something that he doesn't even need to be exposed to.
And then like, what if it doesn't work out and he loses another? Yeah, it gets
real. Yeah.
I think I'm not.
Did Sammy know Courtney?
No. But she like listened to my podcast, which I think helped because she kind of knew everything.
Right.
I honestly think, I'm not saying this to say this or dodge a question or whatever, but I think the dating thing with widows and widowers is 100% just different to each their own. I think some people, we did a public speaking thing. We go do this, and there's a public speaker before me, and his wife died, and he was remarried 8 months later.
Wow.
So like
Married.
So like everyone's like on their own
and what's
thing.
And I love what you say about it's so unique and I'm not a widower, but widows and widowers can only understand it because I think there are going to be people who see the guy or the girl that starts dating or gets married quick and they're trying to control the perception of the public.
Moving on.
Yeah, and it's like, I guess the marriage wasn't very good.
Like, I don't worry about that.
Well, that's you, but I know that people. I mean, I would if I lost Denise, I would have this kind of. I'm gonna hold out. I'm gonna hold out to prove to people that, and that's and
you're
but
weird.
the thing is that would be me without the trauma.
Sure.
Me with the trauma, who knows what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get too caught. I can you can't control what anyone thinks or says ever, so I don't get too.
No, and I've learned that. Like before,
Especially
I'd be real worried.
Town.
I'd be real worried. Like I'm a teacher, and so I was always worried about my reputation. Like I want families to love me, and I want kids to love me, and I want to be talked about good in this town. And you go through that, and then this happens, and it's like the people who know you, they're going to support you.
Yeah.
The people who don't, Why
Don't
do you
know
care
you.
anyway?
That's how I see
Yeah,
it.
don't know you. If
Yeah.
Like
someone,
if you think we didn't have a good marriage, you clearly just don't know
who we are.
anything about us. So
Yeah.
why would I give you 2 seconds of the day
Right.
and value your opinion at all?
Right.
Yeah.
I think
That's
insecure
hard for me,
I think
though.
insecure
Really? I
people do. I think insecure people get
Really?
because insecurity is derived from like you're constantly. If you're a secure person, you're not looking for outward validation.
Right.
You're a secure person. Your validation comes from within.
I feel like I have a lot of insecurities just because I have to protect crew in such a small town. And I just don't want to be talked about.
Yeah.
Like I just want to go on.
I don't think anybody does.
No. And, I even think about beforehand, like I was worried I was a good teacher and people thought highly of me in the school system. And now I'm like,
She's just
Can you
broken.
hack
can
it?
I just
She's
be a
broken.
can I just be a normal person that nobody knows and talks about and just I can just be a person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about this last night about how,
That's why I smile.
when you get the trauma, when this event, something like this happens, people have this expectation for you to just lay on the ground and bleed out and be like,
100%.
oh yeah,
She's still hurt.
did you hear
She's still-
about
yeah.
her? Yeah, like don't expect her to get up and walk around because like.
Yeah.
Whereas, do you want to be a wounded dog your whole life?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely
And
not.
why do I deserve that? Why do we deserve to?
You already got hurt enough.
Right.
Why do you?
I mean,
Yeah.
and the people, I just have this. If you're going to talk about somebody who had the trauma that we did, then your life is way worse than mine.
That's how that's what I see it. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
Like
Like if
if-
you're picking on me, then you've got some
If
serious
you're gonna
issues.
take time and energy out of your day to you must have some demons, bud.
it's
Right.
crazy though. I mean, when you told me the first time that you got messages,
Yeah.
What?
oh,
I mean, I don't get them very out, but I'll get these weird, what is going on? Like,
No.
it's
very,
it almost is like, how is this real? How is
Like-
this real?
Right.
almost laugh like this, not good.
Yeah,
But they're pretty rare.
Yeah.
and they always have no followers, but I'm like, man, someone made an account.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Typed this thing out, made and like came at you.
This
is
gotten some
wild.
messages too lately.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sammy posted a pic of me and Blue,
Yeah.
I have the cutest boys or whatever, and someone's like, they're not your boys, they're Courtney's boys. Which yeah, but what is wrong with people?
Right.
They're
And what gives you? I call those keyboard warriors.
Yeah.
Like,
The funny thing is, it's probably one of my closest friends or family members. Honestly, that's what I think. It's probably someone I know.
and maybe not.
Bastards.
That's scary. Don't let that take you.
No, I don't think it is because your true people want you happy, and if you're happy,
Yeah.
they're not going to sabotage that.
No.
I just don't know who else would care enough to do it.
But have you ever watched Catfish?
Yeah.
You think about people like that. Who
don't have
has the time
they
and
don't have
energy?
lives.
Just some real
They don't-
sleep, catfishing people.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
But who has the time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody's. People who have nothing better to do.
Yeah, they are bored.
Bored. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
haters. Randy,
Yeah.
if he could leave you a 30-second voice message, what do you think he'd tell you?
You're better than this. You're stronger than this. Do what you need to do.
Whoa, that was kind of... You're intense.
Yeah.
You're a warrior. You're better than this.
I'm better than this. He would tell me that.
You're better than what you're
Do what
currently
you need to
doing.
do. You know what you need to do and do it.
Randy was a man's man. It
He
sounds
was.
like.
He was a man.
Yeah. And he
He
didn't.
carried rocks for Christ's sake.
Yeah, and
He-
hunted like a man.
He was not. He was quiet.
Hmm.
He was very quiet, very reserved. He'd be one of those guys in the group who would just sit there and,
Observe.
I like
Observe.
the quiet guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're usually the smartest one in the room.
well, he did marry me, so he was pretty smart. But
There's the confidence coming back
yeah.
from JT.
But I'm going to take that home.
I like JT. That's a good
Taking
one.
that home with me. But yeah, he always pushed me. I was doing my second master's degree when Korbin was little, and there would be times where he would say, "You're already in the thick of it. Keep going. Like,
You're here.
you're better than that. What are you doing? Like, this is your passion. This is your drive. You get 3 hours of sleep. So what? Get it done. Get it done."
Yeah. What about Korbin?
Oh, mama. What would he say to me? Put me on the golf course. That's what I'm doing.
He loved it.
Loved it. Loved it.
There's a quote that says, "Never meet your heroes." And I kind of had this experience. I went to Kansas City and I interviewed this lady named Kuri.
Yeah.
She lost her family, mom, husband, 2 kids to a tornado.
Oh, God.
And she's like you. She like I fly out there. We go to a Kansas City game. We're just kind of hanging out, and she's just happy and kind, and has her kid with her.
Yeah.
And I see that from you. Like you're working. You're working right now.
I went back to work. The wreck happened in August, and I went back to work in October.
That's like that. You should be the president of the United States. Like I don't even know how.
2 months, 3. So September, October.
2 months. I don't even know
The
where
end
I
of
was
October,
at.
beginning of November.
I don't know if I was getting.
So you were still healing.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And again, like I get how grief's different. Like some people need to be active. Like I get how it's different, but like that.
But I was sitting in our house too. I mean, I was walking past Korbin's room every day. I mean, I still
You
haven't
needed to get out of there.
Well, losing it.
losing it.
Yeah.
I still haven't done his laundry. I put it in a Ziploc baggie.
See, I could not get back to work. I just
Yep.
wasn't
Like
even a
his-
thought.
Work just changed.
It wasn't even a thought.
Yeah.
Like,
But I mean, my drive and my passion has always been to be a teacher, and those little people healed me.
aw.
I mean, they were kind. I mean, Korbin was he was a second grader, and my best friend Tristan is a second grade teacher, and she was going to be his teacher. And his desk was still in her room. And it was hard to walk down the hallway and not peek in on him, because I would always do that. When I'd walk down the hallway, I would always peek in and see what he was doing, and kindergarten and first grade. And I just had a sense of like, Korbin's friends need to see that I'm okay. I mean, his 2 little best friends were in his class, and every day, they would run into my room in the morning. And that's where Korbin would be. They would always mess around in my room before they had to get to class and eat their breakfast in there, do what they did. And that coming back was Korbin living through his buddies, living through me. And that helped. Like I needed them. I needed those little 7-year-old boys more than I think they needed to know that I was okay and that I was there.
Yeah, and my buddy Sam, he told me this one. You reminded me of this when you were talking. But he's like Mason. Like when I see you happy, or when your family sees you happy, it does so much good.
Yeah.
Like when we can. It almost lets us be happy, honestly.
Yeah.
And that when I hear, and I just never even thought about that ever.
Yeah.
And when I heard him say that, I'm like, wow, like that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm honestly still shocked that you just went back to work that quick. That is mission impossible to me. But good for you. And then, how would you how would you explain grief? Like, what is it? To someone maybe who doesn't really know it, like alien from outer space, never experienced grief in his life. He's like, hey, JT, what is grief?
It's a humbling experience. Teaches you who you are. For sure.
What if you're going through grief and you're not liking what it's teaching you about who you are?
Oh, I think there's a bigger picture behind grief, that there's a purpose. Were Randy and Korbin supposed to die? I will never know that. But people have told me that maybe they were protected from something worse in their life that was coming. Do I believe that? No. Do I want to believe it? Sure. Like, were they protected from something that would be even worse? But how could something be worse than this? Like, that's what I constantly question. But if you're going through grief and it's not teaching you what you want, I think you need to dig deeper, because it's taught me that I have to prove kindness. I have to be kind to people and look at the best for people, for Crew, because I want him to grow up being kind to people who are suffering, who are in the middle of maybe a suicidal thought. Crew's going to know, I can handle this because my mama taught me this kindness, or that we can get through anything. Anybody can get through anything.
Yeah, I love that answer, because keep going. That's what you said. Like,
Yeah.
And that's like the buffalo analogy. Because, like, I will say when I first started crying about it and then talking about it, it was terrible.
Terrible.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
And I almost stopped many times, but like, keep going.
Keep going.
That's the storm. Like, it's going to be hell. It's not,
Yeah.
It's going to be hell. But keep going, and then you'll find the new perspective, or the little golden nuggets, or the good parts of it that are there.
Yeah.
But the only way you get to it is if you keep going. It's going to be brutal, though.
There's a lot. Like, I internalize a lot, just because I don't want to hinder people. Like, I don't want to make people uncomfortable. I don't want to make them sad. So I lose it a lot behind closed doors. But it's okay, I think. I mean, that's okay. Like, I still have the opportunity to lose it, and I lose it alone. I mean, there's times where Crew and I'll leave the cemetery, and he'll look at me and he goes, Mama, why you got water in your eyes?
Oh.
And I'm like, baby, it's okay. I'm just sad. Like, I need to know it's okay. It's okay to be sad. Like,
yeah, I remember back to therapy, I was talking to my therapist. I'm like, well, I do cry, but I try not to cry in front of Blue.
yeah.
And he's like, I get it, but he should see you cry sometimes. Not every time, but you need to let him see you cry.
Yeah.
Because he needs to know that you are sad, and it's okay to be sad. And
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, okay. And did that a couple times in front of Blue, and I don't know if I made it worse on him or better on him, but I let him see it a little bit. But, like, I don't think that's true for kids. I think that's true for adults. Like, it's okay to allow your closest ones to see you sad sometimes and to be able to talk about it. Because I think if you don't talk about it, it's just going to grow and grow and grow. And then it's going to...
Not let your purpose shine.
Wow, yeah. Yeah. It's going to... That anger will just consume you.
Mm-hmm.
And then the accident with your family or my family or whatever the situation anyone's going through,
right?
You kind of lose yourself to the grief, and it becomes a terrible story.
Right.
And that's something we don't talk about. Is, do you know how many people experience grief and they do become the alcoholic? They do take their own life. They do become homeless. Those stories happen all the time.
Yeah.
No one talks about those ones.
Right.
And so that's why, like, when people say it happened for a reason, I have a tough time with. I'm like, well, you're just saying that because I'm handling it well right now.
Right. Or you don't know what else to say.
Right. Like, I could be homeless right now. Yeah. And then what?
Yeah.
The car accident
then
happened,
did it have a reason?
so I could be homeless?
Right. Yeah.
So what do we say? Like,
yeah.
So for me, the thing that makes most sense in my mind when it comes to grief or whatever happened to you in your life is, okay, it actually doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything.
Nope.
All we know is it happened.
Yep.
What are you going to do about it?
Right.
And how you respond to it, that's going to be the reason why the thing happened.
Yeah.
It's up to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I go back to kind of analogy one of my friends shared with me is before, when it was just me in my life, I was in college, and that's where my book, you start your book, and then Randy enters your chapter, and then Korbin entered the next chapter, and then Crew, and then in the next chapter, those two phased out. But does your story stop there? Absolutely not. Like now I have to take this book and write it to the end. Kuri will be in my story forever how long, but I've got to take Korbin and keep him in my story through things I do to memorialize him, things that we do to keep him alive for the rest of my life. And so that's kind of my book. Like, he wasn't here 20 years ago, but I was.
Yeah.
And Randy wasn't here 16 years ago, but that's when he entered, you know? And so I kind of think of it that way as my book will end one day, but whoever reads it will know everybody till my end.
Yeah. And well, like, it's up to you, like what's going to be written type of thing.
Yeah.
We like to end every episode with top 3 favorite movies.
Cool. Okay.
Anything else you want to say, or we don't want you flying home like I should have said that.
Okay, so can I talk about Korbin's clubs for a little bit?
I would love to.
Okay, so as you know, Korbin loved golf. So one day, sitting in my grief, I didn't know how to memorialize him, and my friend was like, "Let's do something with golf." I'm like, "Okay." So Korbin's clubs came about. So in our town, surrounding areas in town, if anybody wants to pursue the game of golf, you can be 5 years old and you can be 50 years old. You reach out and I will give you a set of clubs to loan. And through the Kansas Golf Foundation and just through donors in town, I've been able to buy 40 sets of golf clubs. Mm-hmm. And right now we have 30 sets out in golfers' hands.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
And they all have little patches on them that say Korbin's clubs. And Korbin's last bag that he had was green and blue. And so that's this. And like anytime like I text somebody and I mean something that I like love a lot, green and blue hearts follow. So he's always with me, but his kindness is what shone through. And our kind of motive behind it is Korbin was the kindest, most respectful, most dignified little boy on the golf course, and you should too. And so it's fun to see his bags out there. I mean, he's all over Kansas golf courses. Yeah.
So you can donate clubs. You can, How else can someone help? Is that the number one way?
Donate clubs. And then my friend Cody, who owns Golf USA in Manhattan, which is just right outside Wamego, he'll take them. And if I need kid sets, he can cut them down and put them in kids' bags. And I have adult sets.
You have any lefty clubs?
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you guys do the golf tournament that I want to come to.
So
I'm not kidding about that. I want to. I don't golf. I'm a terrible golfer, but I'll do it.
Come up. Yeah.
For Korbin's clubs.
Yeah. And so that tournament is on our anniversary weekend.
Oh, it's too good.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so proud of you. That's cool.
So, and then before the rec, our golf course, we have a high school team and they now adopted a middle school team for golf. So down below, they were creating like a short game area. And they memorialized it for the boys. So there's a cool little plaque there for them. And
Have you ever seen Happy Gilmore?
Yes.
Here comes the putter throw. Not with Korbin's clubs, though.
No, they don't.
Better put that down.
Yeah.
Corbin had dignity, okay?
Right?
Don't you want to go home?
Golfer.
Just go to your home. Your bags are packed. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll have to put that on the description of the podcast.
Korbin's clubs. Donate. Buy a Costco pair. Donate it to Korbin's clubs.
Yeah.
Love it.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Golf club in their hands is great.
Jill, before we want your top 3 favorite movies, but what about, can we get Korbin's too?
Oh,
or Randy?
my gosh.
Did they like just a couple movies they liked?
Randy liked those like military movies, like SEAL and
SEAL Team 6.
Yeah, that type of stuff.
Yeah,
that was his thing. You're gonna laugh, but Korbin loved to watch golf.
I am gonna laugh.
Did he ever see The Greatest Game Ever Played?
Oh, Shia LaBeouf movie.
No.
Pretty good movie.
No. He didn't watch cartoons. He didn't care about that.
He's a golfer.
He would watch golf.
He's like a 40-year-old man stuck in a
Who's his favorite golfer?
Oh gosh.
Tiger Woods.
No, he loved Phil Mickelson. And
Rory McIlroy.
We watched a lot of Rory.
If I got $1 million for every golfer I could name, I think I'd make $4 million.
Okay. That's pretty good though.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
What about you? Favorite movies?
Favorite movies. The Secret.
I haven't seen that. Secret. I've got a secret.
It's about a widow.
Aw.
Yeah, it's a pretty good movie. And then Crew and I went with some friends to see the Migration movie.
I haven't seen that
It's
one.
cute.
Is
It's
it?
real cute. Yeah. And then my favorite one of all time would probably be Little Rascals.
Little rascals.
I love it.
I don't think anyone
I
said.
got a pickle.
I got a pickle.
Yep. I love it.
What's the number for 911?
How am I supposed to know?
Little Rascals.
Yeah.
Oh, the race at the end with what are those Matchbox car or what are they in?
Oh,
The-
push cars.
Those
Oh,
push
yeah.
cart
Pedal
things?
cars. Yeah.
Yeah. The
Intense.
rich kid.
And then I just remember being a little kid and I thought that Reba lady at the end, whew,
Just did something
she
for you,
did
Dave.
it for me. I was like a 9-year-old. I'm like, what is happening?
She's pretty.
Little Rascals.
Yeah.
Jillian, thank you so much for flying out here
Yeah,
and
thanks
spending
for
time
having
with
me.
us. You brought the family. We're going to go to the aquarium
Yeah.
right now. Hope you're ready.
Cool.
Life's 10% what happens to you and 90% what you're going to do about it.